Gillmann Services Safety Orientation. Gillmann Services is concerned with the health and well-being of all employees. As such, we are committed to ensuring that all of our employees are provided a safe and healthy work environment. The purpose of this orientation is to provide you, the employee, with the guidelines necessary for you to perform your job safely and without undue risk of injury. The orientation is also to inform you of our expectations for your compliance with safe work practices and established procedures. Gillmann Services, as a provider of skilled labor, will ensure that you are provided safe working conditions with all of our clients. Likewise, we expect each employee to perform his or her work in a safe manner without undue risk. This means complying with the safety practices and rules outlined in the company's safety plan, as well as the safety rules and procedures on all of our clients' work sites. These rules are established for your safety and well-being. Safety is everyone's responsibility, and all employees are expected to help make this company and our clients' work sites pleasant and rewarding places to work. This may be as simple as keeping your work area clean and orderly, or reporting broken tools or equipment. Either way, it should be done with a positive attitude and the knowledge that you are making things better for all. The following rules are established to govern the conduct of all employees and to provide for everyone's safety. Everyone is expected to comply with these rules at all times. Personal conduct. All employees are expected to report to work fit for duty. Reporting to work under the influence of alcohol or drugs is strictly forbidden, as is the consuming of alcohol beverages or taking drugs while on duty. Minimum dress for work includes a shirt with a minimum of 4-inch sleeves, long pants extending to the ankle, and work boots meeting ANSI specifications, steel toe or metatarsal protection. Jewelry wear is prohibited. Fighting is prohibited. You are required to comply with client rules regarding eating or drinking in work areas. All employees are expected to immediately report all unsafe conditions and unsafe acts to their supervisor. If you are not satisfied with the results, you can contact the branch manager at your local Gillmann Services field office. Only authorized and qualified, trained employees may start or operate equipment or drive company vehicles. Smoking is prohibited at all locations. Texting or cell phone use is prohibited while working. Personal protective equipment. Hard hats, safety glasses, reflective vests, and work boots will be worn at all times. Hearing protection will be worn in or near designated tasks generating loud noise and in areas designated as noise hazard areas. Gloves are to be worn during any material handling tasks where rough materials, materials with sharp edges, or hot materials are being handled. While working on vessels, barges, floats, or other boats with unguarded edges, employees shall wear approved flotation devices while on deck. Gillmann Services will provide hard hats, safety glasses, reflective vests, and hearing protection. Job site hazard awareness. If you see a hazard, correct it immediately. If you cannot correct it, tell your supervisor. If you are not satisfied with the work area, you can contact the branch manager of Gillmann Services at your local field office. Work areas are to be maintained in a clean and orderly condition and free of debris. Stay alert to activities and hazards around you. Oil, grease, water, or other slippery substance spills are to be cleaned up immediately and thoroughly. Aisles and walkways are to be kept clear of tripping hazards at all times. Signs, posters, and warning devices are placed for your information and protection. Employees are required to read and follow such warnings and notices. Use of compressed air to blow off dust or dirt from a person is prohibited. Emergency equipment access shall not be blocked. Example, fire extinguishers. Manual lifting, pushing, pulling must be accomplished with extreme care. Correct lifting techniques will be used at all times. Approach the task on good footing. Test the load. If it is too heavy, get help or use mechanical devices. Use good body mechanics and techniques to accomplish the move. Tools, hand and powered. Broken or defective tools shall not be used. All tools must be in good operating condition and properly maintained. All tool guards will be in place and properly adjusted before using any power tools or equipment. Electric tools and cords must have a functional ground circuit. It is the responsibility of each employee to check the condition and inspect all tools before use. Any tool that is defective must be removed from the work site immediately. Any employee using defective equipment will be subject to disciplinary action. Hazardous communication. Before handling hazardous materials, you must be trained on information concerning HAZCOM, safety data sheets, SDS, and material safety data sheets, MSDS. If you have not been trained, contact a representative of Gillmann Services immediately. All precautions and limitations as stated on all labels must be observed before, during, and after use. Chemicals or materials must not be mixed or used in concentrations other than as described by the manufacturer. Hazardous chemicals will not be taken into confined spaces without the approval of the marine chemist or industrial hygienist. Fall protection. Fall protection is required any time you are exposed to a potential fall of 4 feet, shipboard 5 feet, or more. Fall protection may be in the form of guardrails, safety nets, or personal fall arrest systems such as harnesses and lanyards. Fall arrest systems consist of 3 basic components: harness, lanyard, and an anchor point to tie off. Safety belts are not permitted for fall protection. Only harnesses and lanyards manufactured specifically for fall protection shall be used and must be in good serviceable condition. Fall protection will be provided when required. If an employee is exposed to heights greater than 4 feet, shipboard 5 feet, and you have not been trained in all fall protection, tell your immediate supervisor, then contact a representative of Gillmann Services immediately. Floors and working surfaces. Floor openings include any voids or openings in the walking surface greater than 12 inches in its least dimension and must be either covered with a covering strong enough to withstand all normal traffic for the area or provided with railings. Window or wall openings with openings of sills lower than 3 feet must be equipped with either a covering or railing. These fall protection covers or railings must not be removed and the hazards may not be left unprotected. Failure to replace or reinstall fall protection after removal will result in disciplinary action. Ladders and work stands. Ladders and work stands must be strong enough and be without damage. Only ladders and work stands manufactured and designed for the task at hand may be used. Ladders and work stands should have at least 225-pound rated capacity and be electrically non-conductive. Employees shall not stand above the step limit identified by the manufacturer. Employees are not to stand on the top 2 steps of the stepladder. Ladders are not to be repaired. Straight or extension ladders will be tied off and secured to prevent movement. When used to gain access, ladders must extend 3 feet above that level. Extension ladder sections shall not be separated and used independently. Employees must comply with the manufacturer's directions and warning signs posted on each ladder. Failure to do so will result in disciplinary action. Scaffolds and staging. Scaffolding and staging will be erected only under the supervision of a competent person able to recognize hazards associated with scaffolding and with the authority to correct or control these hazards. Scaffolds will be erected only on secure, stable foundation and in accordance with the manufacturer's design and instructions. Employees are not permitted to work on scaffolds until they have been correctly constructed and completed. Aerial lifts. Before any employee may operate an aerial lift, they must review the operator's manual and be trained by a competent person in the operation and maintenance of the aerial lift that they will be operating. Employees must maintain and operate aerial lifts according to the manufacturer's instructions and comply with all safety warnings. Training of safe operation procedures, hazards concerning aerial lifts and fall protection use is required. If you have not been trained, you cannot operate a lift of any type. Electrical safety. If you are not a certified electrician or under the supervision of a certified electrician, you cannot do electrical work. Electricians must work in a safe manner at all times. Electricians must lock out and tag out all equipment and circuits prior to beginning work. The electrician that locked out the equipment must be the one who removes the lock and tag. Electricians must comply with the National Electrical Code and all federal, state, and local codes, policies, while performing electrical work. Hazardous energy control. Energy sources, including electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, chemical, thermal, or other sources in machines and equipment, can be hazardous to workers. During the servicing and maintenance of machines and equipment, the unexpected startup or release of stored energy can result in serious injury or death to workers. Lockout tagout is a means to control the hazardous energy. All employees must comply with all lockout tagout procedures at each location. If you are not familiar with the lockout tagout procedure at the operation you are placed at, then you need to contact your immediate supervisor. Confined space. A confined space is a space large enough for a worker to enter it, has limited means of entry or exit, and is not designed for continuous occupancy. Oxygen deficiency and/or flammable gases are a concern in a confined space, and the atmosphere must be tested prior to anyone starting work. An employee may not be in or around a confined space unless authorized. If you are required to be in or around a confined space, you must have confined space training. Hot work. Any person using an open flame for soldering, cutting, welding, or other purposes must have a fire extinguisher immediately, within 10 feet, available and provide protection and shielding so as to prevent starting a fire. Hot work will only be performed in approved and/or designated areas. Before beginning hot work, the area surrounding the work will be inspected to verify that no other persons or fire hazards will be exposed to the hazards. Hot work shall not be performed until posted as safe for hot work, and all posted conditions and requirements met. Trenches, excavating. You must be properly trained to work in a trench or excavation area. A trench must be properly sloped or benched before you can work in it. Work only inside the trench box or properly shored areas of the trench if the trench is not properly sloped or benched. The trench must be inspected by a competent person every day before work. If you do not feel safe, immediately stop work, tell your supervisor, and call a representative of Gillmann Services. Struck by hazards. A struck by injury is caused by forcible contact on impact between the injured person and an object or piece of equipment. The types of struck by hazards are struck by flying object, falling object, swinging object, and rolling objects. All employees must be on alert and wear protective safety equipment at all times to help avoid struck by hazards. Stay alert while working around equipment for swinging, flying, and rolling objects. When you arrive at the job site, make sure you are aware of all hazards. If you need further training on hazards on or around the job site, inform your supervisor and call a representative from Gillmann Services immediately prior to continuing work. Accidents, injuries, and incidents. All accidents, injuries, and incidents must be reported to your supervisor immediately. You must also report the accident to Gillmann Services immediately. After you have reported an accident, a representative of Gillmann Services will come to the job site and fill out an accident report. If you need to seek medical help, a representative of Gillmann Services will take you to the medical facility or meet you there. You will be required to take a drug test when you report an accident. The Gillmann Services representative will stay with you at the medical clinic until you have been seen by a physician. Conclusion. These procedures only cover the most basic safety rules and job procedures. You are expected to also comply with the safe work practices and procedures of all clients' companies while working on their sites. All MSHA, OSHA, local fire codes, or other governmental rules and regulations may differ, and each may take precedence in certain situations. Each employee must take individual responsibility for his or her own safety and the safety of others around them. Specific hazard safety plans have also been developed to address certain tasks and operations that you may be exposed to. If there are any questions concerning the job you are performing, or you need additional training, you should inform your immediate supervisor or contact a representative of Gillmann Services. Be safe.